Oh, hi, boys and girls. I was just about to read some stories about the winter snow. I borrowed the books from my local library, and I'd like to share them with you.
Our mittens are in the snow, our mittens are in the snow. Help our fingers so they won't freeze, our mittens are in the snow. Look! The snowman is wearing our mittens, the snowman is wearing our mittens. Help us please so our fingers won't freeze, the snowman is wearing our mittens. Look! Our mittens are sliding off, our mittens are sliding off. Help us please so our fingers won't freeze, our mittens are sliding off. Look! We pick our mittens up, we pick our mittens up. Help us please so our fingers won't freeze, we pick our mittens up. Look! Our hands are warm again, our hands are warm again. We wear our mittens so our fingers won't freeze, our hands are warm again. Hooray!
Once upon a time on a cold winter's day, Frog was hopping through the snow. He was looking for a warm place to sleep. Suddenly, Frog saw a bright yellow mitten lying in the snow. The mitten looked warm. Frog peered inside. There was plenty of room for one small frog. So Frog hopped inside and snuggled into the mitten, happy to be warm. Well, as soon as Frog had settled in for the night, Owl flew down. "Hello in there! May I share your mitten with you?" "Why, yes," said Frog. "There's room to share in here." So Owl and Frog snuggled into the mitten together, happy to be warm. Well, not long after Owl and Frog had settled into the mitten for the night, Rabbit came by. "Excuse me," said Rabbit. "May I share your mitten with you? It's very, very cold outside." "Well, we will make some room for you," said Owl, "but we will need to be careful. It's getting a little tight in here, and we don't want to tear the mitten." Well, as Rabbit snuggled in, the mitten stretched a little bit more. Frog, Owl, and Rabbit were very happy to be warm. Well, just as Frog, Owl, and Rabbit had settled in for the night, Fox came upon the mitten. "Pardon me," said Mr. Fox. "Would there be any room in your mitten for me?" "Well, we can try to make room for you," said Rabbit. "But the mitten is crowded and the seams are loosening, so please be careful." So Fox very carefully squeezed into the crowded mitten with Frog, Owl, and Rabbit, where they were very happy to be warm. Once everyone had settled in for the night, Woof walked up to the mitten. "Would it be possible for me to share your mitten with you?" asked Woof. "Well, perhaps the mitten can stretch a bit more if we all move about carefully," said Fox. As Woof pressed into the mitten, the seams started to groan and pop. But the mitten didn't tear. Frog, Owl, Rabbit, Fox, and Woof were happy to be warm. Well, just as everyone was finally drifting off to sleep, Bear strolled up to the mitten. "Could I please share your mitten with you?" asked Bear. "Well, we are very crowded in here and there's not much room," said Woof. "But if you wiggle in very carefully, perhaps we can make some room for you." The mitten groaned loudly as Bear carefully wiggled in. The seams were stretched to the breaking point, but the mitten did not tear. So Frog, Owl, Rabbit, Fox, Woof, and Bear were very squashed, but very warm inside the mitten. Oh, soon a little cricket came jumping through the snow. May I share your mitten with you? She asked. Well, I'm afraid there just isn't any room in here, said Bear. Well, nonsense, said the little cricket as she jumped right inside the mitten. The poor mitten could stretch no more, not even for a little cricket. Pop went the seams, rip went the fabric, and spill went the animals back out into the cold snow. Now we will need to find another place to stay, said the little cricket. So Frog, Owl, Rabbit, Fox, Wolf, Bear, and the little cricket huddled together and went off in search of another mitten to keep them warm. Perhaps, they thought, they just might find a mitten that was big enough for all of them and a little cricket too.
One cold winter night in the middle of January, there was a little rabbit who was shivering from the cold. Well, he was in the forest on a soft mound of snow, but the snow was piling up all around him, and the wind was blowing circles of snow all around. Well, the little rabbit was cold. Well, he didn't have a home to go to for this cold winter night, so he knew he had to find a place somewhere. So he stood up tall, very tall, and he sniffed the air, and he had to find a safe place to spend the night, and suddenly he knew where he could be warm. So he began to run through the snow just like this. He ran very fast on his little legs. And he ran and ran. And soon he found a place that was just right for him. So the rabbit crawled underneath, and he curled up and snuggled down and went to sleep. Well, just then, a bushy-tailed fox was looking for a place to spend the cold winter night, and he came scampering along. He, too, wanted a warm place to spend the night. So the fox saw where the rabbit had gone, and he found a place for himself there, too. So he curled up and went to sleep. He even curled his tail all around his body to keep himself warm. Well, pretty soon, it was a little baby bear who was looking for shelter from the cold. He was unable to find his mother, and he knew he needed to find a warm place to spend the cold, cold night. So, sure enough, he found the other animals, and he joined them. Well, they were all snuggled up very quietly, and they went to sleep, but they didn't see someone else who was hiding. They found all of a sudden that there was a big owl with big round eyes. He was waiting for the night too. The owl closed her eyes and gave a soft hoot and went back to sleep. It was just too cold to go hunting. Well, by now the night had really come, and the snow had stopped falling, and the moon had begun to shine. The 4 sleeping animals were snug and warm throughout the long, cold winter night because they had found shelter under a tree that looked just like this one.
It had been a long, cold winter. Food was scarce and hard to find in the forest. One day Fox sat at the edge of the forest wishing for something to eat. Earlier that day, Fox had gone out in search of food, but all he found was an old cooking pot buried in the snow. Soon, Fox saw Rabbit come down to the stream for some water. Maybe Rabbit has an extra carrot that he would share, thought Fox. Next, Fox noticed Squirrel scamper down the side of a nearby tree. Maybe Squirrel has a few acorns he would share, thought the hungry Fox. As Bear and Bird neared the stream, Fox wondered if they might have some berries and seeds to share. As Fox sat watching the other animals near the stream, he had an idea. Fox went back to find the old cooking pot that was buried in the snow. Then Fox cleared away a safe spot for a campfire and gathered some branches for a fire. Next, Fox put some clean snow in the cooking pot. Then he put the pot on the fire. Bear and Squirrel noticed Fox and his cooking pot. "What are you cooking there, Fox?" asked the bear. They were hungry too, and they hoped that the fox would share whatever he was cooking with them. Rabbit and Bird saw the others gathered around the cooking pot. "Maybe they have food they would share with us," said Rabbit. As Rabbit and Bird joined the others, Fox said, "Friends, I have an idea. If we all share what little food we have left, there will be plenty of snow soup for us to eat." Bear, Squirrel, Rabbit, and Bird agreed that this was a wonderful idea. Each went home and soon came back with some food to share with the others. "Thank you for sharing your cooking pot with us, Fox," said Rabbit as he added a big orange carrot to the snow soup. "Thank you for sharing your campfire with us, Fox," said Bear as she added some plump berries to the snow soup. "Thank you for sharing your recipe for snow soup with us," said Squirrel as he added a nice brown acorn to the snow soup. "Thank you for sharing with your friends," said Bird as she added some sunflower seeds to the snow soup. The animals gathered around the campfire to wait for the snow soup to finish cooking. The soup smelled delicious, and the fire felt warm as the friends waited to eat their delicious meal together. Soon enough, the snow soup was ready to eat. They placed the cooking pot on an old stump and shared the snow soup. Everyone agreed it was the best soup they had ever tasted. "Thank you all for sharing what you had," said Fox. "Alone, we had very little left to eat. But when we shared what we had together, there was plenty of food for all of us." Fox said goodbye to his friends, and they all looked forward to the next time they could share some snow soup.
That's all our stories for today. Don't forget to visit your local library. See you next time.